Hello, everyone. Welcome back to St. Louis Teens. Today, we are here with Imran Nuri, the founder and CEO of the 52 Million Project, working to have 1 million people engaged in donating $1 a week, collectively donating $52 million a year to support nonprofits in their specialized work. Imran, you are awarded the Ohio State Outstanding Senior Award and were selected for the 25 Under 25 Social Entrepreneurs. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your phenomenal service through helping people be philanthropists and helping those in need. Imran,
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to answer your questions and talk more about what I'm doing.
Imran, thank you so much for being here with us today. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what inspired you to start the 52 Million Project?
Well, yeah, so I'm 22 years old. I'm based out of Columbus, Ohio. I have always had a passion for giving back and doing good for others. I think that's something my parents taught me, my entire life. And yeah, I think the most relevant experience for me right now is that I spent the last 4 years at the Ohio State University here in Columbus, and I spent a lot of my time being involved with something called Buckeye-thon, which is a dance marathon program in Ohio State that raises money for children with cancer and childhood cancer research. So I spent, like I said, all 4 years just working really, really hard to make sure that Buckeye-thon was in a better place than when I found it, and it was already in a great place when I started school at Ohio State. By the time that I served as the president of Buckeye-thon throughout my junior year at Ohio State, and led us to a year of raising over $1.7 million for childhood cancer research at our local hospital. And then took a step back my senior year at Ohio State to start the 52 Million Project, something that aimed to empower individuals and empower like you said, our long-term vision of 1 million people. We want to empower 1 million people to know that they can make a difference with $1 a week. So that's what I'm working on full time post grad is the 52 Million Project and growing it into what I know it can be, and continuing to just empower people one person at a time to make a difference and support a lot of different nonprofits.
And your vision is to get 0.3% of the United States population to donate $1 a week to some of the most urgent needs around the globe. How are you accomplishing this goal?
Yeah, great question. It's a tremendous, significant goal, and it's not something that we ever planned to happen overnight. It's definitely a long-term goal. But part of that, I think, part of how we're planning on creating a ripple effect that will lead to 1 million people giving is that we built out a custom referral link system in our software that basically allows every single one of our donors to have a referral link that they can share with their friends and family. And what we say is that yes, you cannot donate more than $1 a week through us, but if you want to give more, you share that link with people, and it'll show you. Our system will show you when someone else donates because of your link, so that you can see how your impact multiplies. And that's our way of saying, if you want to give more, tell more people. And that's kind of like a really simple way of us trying to multiply our initial donors' impact. And as we get new donors, we hope that they will immediately take action and engage two, three, four, five more people at a time, and just like I said, create that ripple effect that engages people 5 times over of what we well 5 times over the effort that it takes for us to get just one new donor. If that makes sense.
And we're so thankful for the incredible work that you're able to do and the 52 Million Project is able to do. I know it can be difficult, but if you sort of had to pick one part of the 52 Million Project that would be your favorite, what would it be?
Yeah, I think my favorite part is seeing brand new people who have absolutely no connection to the people behind the 52 Million Project get engaged. So, we're obviously still a nonprofit startup. We launched earlier this year in January. And so that initial couple hundred donors were largely people who were directly connected to myself, my team, my board of directors, and close friends. And more recently, the donors who have been coming in are people who have absolutely no connection to the 52 Million Project. They're discovering it organically or through other friends, and they're signing up because they believe in what we stand for. So that's my favorite part, is knowing that I'm reaching random people across the country who feel called to make a difference with $1 a week, who understand our message of $1 a week's not a lot on its own, but together it adds up quickly. So that's by far my favorite part.
And can you share with us some of the success stories of the program in terms of the donors and the charities that you're working with?
Yeah, so I think that one of my favorite weeks so far was a couple weeks ago where we supported the Mid-Ohio Food Bank. And it's a massive food bank that serves the Central Ohio and Eastern Ohio communities here. And what they do is that, what they're able to do with their efficiency is that every dollar that's donated to them can be turned into $10 worth of food. So we knew it was going to be a big week for us. We intentionally selected them for a later week in the year because we knew we would be more established by then, would have more donors. So when we got to that week, we not only had almost 400 donors who were able to give, again, almost $400, times 10 would have been, almost $4,000 of food created for hungry Ohioans. We also had a company match that week's donation. So really what happened there was we'd created almost $8,000 worth of food for hungry Ohioans, thanks to our almost 500 or almost 400 donors and a matching gift. So that's kind of like, that's an exciting part of, that's a really exciting part of the 52 Million project, is knowing that where we're at right now, we're still relatively small. We only have a couple hundred people, which is awesome, but it's definitely far from our long-term goal. But to just have a couple hundred people engaged and to be able to double that impact in certain weeks when we get companies matching, I mean, that's tremendous. And a lot of these nonprofits that we're supporting are smaller, so they don't just get random $400 to $800 gifts. So to see the excitement that they feel when they get a surprise email that says, "Hey, you're going to be receiving at least $400 from us," they're always so ecstatic about that, and it's rewarding to know that they're going to make such a tremendous impact with those dollars.
And it's still wonderful that you were able to get in contact and help out that food bank, and that you're able to help so many other nonprofits as well. In fact, the 52 Million Project has donated to 35 nonprofits just in 2020. How do you select your charity for the week?
Yeah, so well, because most of our donors right now are based out of Columbus, I'd say of our 420 some donors, I think 320 of them are either in Columbus or Ohio. So when we select our nonprofits, we know that we're catering to our audience. So as of now, and so half of the nonprofits we're supporting are based out of Central Ohio, and they're all fighting poverty. That's the area we're focused on right now. The other half are nonprofits who have a 4-star rating on Charity Navigator. And Charity Navigator is an organization that thoroughly vets nonprofits and gives them ratings based on their financial accountability, their efficiency, their ability to display impact, and like 17 different pieces of criteria. So when we're not supporting local charities, we're supporting nonprofits who are located in the Midwest and the Northeast areas of the U.S. who are doing any sort of work that aligns with the idea of fighting poverty. And those nonprofits beyond Central Ohio are all doing 5 million or less in revenue, which maybe sounds like a lot, but is still considered a relatively smaller nonprofit. So our choice to do that is because we know that when we're right now where we're at, when we're giving $300, $400 at a time, that gift is more significant for a smaller nonprofit than it is if we were to be supporting massive, 9-digit figure nonprofits, if that makes sense.
And Imran, you talked earlier about sort of your inspiration and the start of your journey as the president of the Buckeye-thon. You raised over $1.7 million for the nationwide children's hospital. And for our budding social entrepreneurs out there, with your experience and success with fundraising, what are your keys to success in that field, along with building a strong team as well?
Yeah, great question. I think that people underestimate the power of a strong team, and that's not just strong individuals. I think a strong team is so much more about how you mesh together and how you work together. So, it's very possible to have teams that, as individuals, aren't the highest performers in an overall group, but as part of a team, just are so efficient and effective. So having a strong team, first of all, is just it's so key, and I think that part of that is understanding the people on your team. So when I was president of Buckeye-thon, my direct executive board of I think 8 people, they were all like type A personalities, and that's very much not how I am. So I had to adapt and learn how to work with them. But the advantage to that was, after understanding how my team worked most effectively in their working style, I was able to delegate really effectively. And I was able to give them a lot of ownership over what they were doing, which made them more effective. I just as easily could have been the type of leader to be monitoring their everyday activities really closely, but I didn't have to. I didn't need to. I knew they wouldn't appreciate that. Um, so first of all, I had an awesome team that year for Buckeyethon, and part of our success, actually, the huge part of our success is that it's very grassroots, right? We engaged over 5,200 students in registering for that dance marathon, and of that 5,200, I'd say about 4,000 of them were actively fundraising. And so from those 4,000 students, they went on, we gave them the tools to be able to fundraise effectively, and to each fundraise $250, which brought us about 30,000 donors that year. So, of course, we didn't build Buckeyethon from nothing. We inherited it from the people before us, right? We like I said, we were standing on the shoulders of giants before us, who built Buckeyethon. But the key to being able to be successfully fundraising $1.7 million is having thousands of people engaged, and not just that, thousands of people who want to do more, right? Because we could have just as easily made a huge impact with just 5,000 students, but those 5,000 students engaged 30,000 donors, and that's what led us to a huge fundraising year, and that's what causes us to be so successful.
Well, that's incredible. And I think, even if you are sort of standing on the shoulders of, giants that may have come before you, it's incredible the work that you were able to do and the work that your team was able to do. And I want to transition over now to the COVID-19 pandemic. And with the onset of the pandemic, how has life changed for your organization and the work that you're doing?
Yeah, you know what? People ask this quite often now, which makes sense because it's really relevant. But we don't have a history to base this year on. Like, if we were operating all of last year and then this year happened, we'd be able to say, like, here's how things have changed year over year. But in reality, we launched in January, and then COVID started to really affect the U.S. in mid-March. So I'd say our message from the beginning has always been, even in the hardest of times, everyone, you can still afford to give, right? Philanthropy isn't about getting millions or billions of dollars. Philanthropy is about giving at all, giving your time, talent, or treasure. And so, with that message, I think it resonates with more people now than it did before, which is a weird good thing to have happen. But our message of wanting to empower people to know that they can make a difference with even just $1 a week is something that millions more Americans can understand now. Millions more Americans who have lost their jobs, who are potentially losing their homes, millions of Americans who are hitting really hard times that they maybe never experienced before, who need to hear that now. Who need to hear that, even if they don't have as much as they did before, even if they don't have a lot to give, there's always something to be given. And for us, that's giving no more than $1 a week. I'd say as far as the pandemic affecting my life and the work I do, I was supposed to be in Chicago this summer, living with my mom and enjoying the festivities of Chicago. But when all of that got shut down, I was like, okay, that's probably not the best move right now. So I actually ended up moving back in with my dad here in Columbus. And I'm living here, working from home, which is something that I definitely didn't expect when I was planning out post grad back in January. But it is what it is. Yeah, I think that's part of. I think everybody's had to adapt because of COVID, but I think specifically as a startup, we've had to adapt. Adapting is something you do every single day, every single hour. That's part of being a startup. It's part of being in your first year of things. It's being able to be quick on your feet and pivot when you need to. And so, when COVID hit, we pivoted how we needed to, and we just came back stronger with a consistent message. So while it's affected us in some ways, we're purely digital and we're still going at it.
And I think that message of giving, not necessarily having to be millions or billions, or not necessarily even money, but, giving something that you have, your talent, your time, it's a wonderful message. And I think it really applies to everyone. And Imran, what would your message be for teens who are aspiring to become social entrepreneurs and leaders like yourself?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you giving me the chance to talk about that. I think that when I was a senior in high school, I was thinking about what job and what path is going to make me the most money post grad. And that really quickly changed as soon as I got into college and started to realize that I don't want to be an investment banker, even if it's going to give me a six-figure salary immediately post grad. I think that as I started to work more with Buckeyethon and I started to work more with the community, I started to realize there's so much more to life than making money. And while money is obviously something that everyone needs, I started to realize that I wouldn't feel fulfilled if I was working a job that paid me well, but something I wasn't passionate about. Um, so I would say to teens who are aspiring to become social entrepreneurs and leaders, by all means, just throw yourself into it. I think no matter where you live, it's a community that is going to be supportive of you, is going to take care of you. It's a community that is going to be very rewarding in what you do. I think that something that this might sound morbid, but something that's guaranteed for everybody is that everyone's going to die, and tomorrow's not a promise. And with that being said, you don't, for me, I realized that I didn't want to have a career that was going to pay me well now so that I could do good later or do good in my free time. I wanted to have a career where I was doing good for a living. Um, and I think that I think in the world we live in now, it's totally feasible, it's possible, and it's necessary. So I'd say that for teens, you can be the change, and as long as you work hard and go after what you really believe in, I think that anything's possible. And it just takes that effort and the courage. So I would encourage anybody to just keep going at it and meet a lot of people and take advantage of the fact that you're young, and most people want to help young people. So there's so much to do, and there's so much more that we have to do to make this world a better place for everyone, now more than ever. So just go after it and make it happen.
Imran, thank you so much for your amazing service to our people in need and to our country. And thank you so much for your time today and answering all of our questions.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to be on. Thanks again for asking me to do this.